Line that up. Before I start the video, I'd like to ask if you like my content, if you're interested in what I do, subscribe and like the video. Helps out a lot. It's free. Thank you. Welcome to Kirby Chats episode. What episode? I don't even know what episode this is. What number? How many of these I've done? I've done quite a few now. This is the third week of me doing YouTube, and I'm feeling all right about it. I'm feeling okay about it. You can definitely, my videos, I just ate, so bump. My videos are not always coming out at 6 o'clock anymore. That clearly went out the window. I'm like filming these later than I should. You know, I'm behind schedule on the filming part. I wish I could just like film through like a bunch of them and then edit them all, whatever, but that would take a whole day to film through a bunch of videos, which would mean that it would be a day off, so I couldn't edit all those together or whatever. Like if I spent my entire day filming, I wouldn't have any time to edit a video that needs to go out during that day. So maybe I'll do that. Maybe I'll just release a stupid video one day and catch up, basically. But yeah, initially I feel like I was pretty stressed by the idea, or I was very excited for sure, very stressed out by the day-to-day kind of like, I'm not necessarily in a rhythm, right, like to do it. Even now, I'm not really in a rhythm to do it. My rhythm is, I'm kind of just, right now, I'm on the back end of catching it, you know? I'm like, oh shoot, I gotta get a video out today. So, that's a good thing to know. That's a good thing to know about this, through this experiment, is to have a rhythm is more difficult for me to do and for me to stick to, and I end up falling into maybe more of a procrastinator standpoint, where I am kind of pumping out, you know, a video a day. I'll film something last minute and then, you know, upload it, you know, around 8 or 9. That's good to know about myself. Maybe a weakness that I can work on, especially when making content as a job, as a full-time, day-to-day, putting out a solid video every single day kind of thing. Something I'm really proud of so far is so far, I feel like I've made standalone videos, which is really cool. I think nobody has to run through, oh, Kirby was doing like a whole month of YouTube stuff, you know? I'm pretty happy with myself that I've actually made what I've made so far. And yeah, no, I mean, it's like somebody could just jump in and watch, you know, one of my Amiibo videos and, you know, kind of still get a good grasp of my editing abilities. Definitely still needs work, definitely still needs practice, which is what this is about. But yeah, no, I'm pretty proud about my content output so far, that I feel like I have made good videos that I'm happy with, videos that I'm proud of. So, including my favorite one, Best Burp in the World. If you haven't seen that one, please go watch that one. That was probably maybe the best video I've done to date. So, I was more bogged down by the work maybe just like a week or two ago, you know? Now I feel better about doing it every day. Maybe that's kind of the routine that my brain would get into, at least, is not necessarily you do this at this time of day, but just like the okay, it's natural for me to spend this much time editing, spend this much time filming, whatever. It's not like it's not as stressful as it was for a bit, you know. I'm a part of it now, and it's a part of me. So far this kind of experiment is fun and really cool, and I'm really excited. I'm happy how it's turning out, and I'm happy to make more videos. I am for sure running out of ideas. I need a little brainstorm time to get, and it's mostly for the variety videos, gaming videos, the gaming time. That writes itself. The Sunday videos on Sundays, those bigger videos, I am finding that I start a little too late on working on those, so I want to really plan ahead a little more and devote more time planning ahead as far as that goes. And then the Monday and Friday videos, those are the variety ones. I got to come up with something fun to do. So that's all. YouTube week 3, so far so fun. I have been babbling about it too long. Moving on. Oh, I'm just gonna like prop up like here, just like a king. Feed me grapes. I am playing EarthBound currently on my own time. I bet you that would be a fun series. Maybe I should be filming that. And I've just started last night. It's very fun. It's very cool. Something that I am very intrigued by is just such a unique, like deep story shrouded by sweet traditional video game elements. The final boss slash like what you're going for, what you're trying to stop, is just this alien, unrecognizable evil named Gygus. And Gygus is it's just this mass. It's just this force of like evil, and it has the name Gygus, but it really is formless, and it's like a void. And that like kind of just creeps into everything, takes everything over. And that's why everybody's fighting you is the bit. That's why you encounter a dog or a slug, and you have to fight it because Gygus is, behind the scenes controlling it, and that's what you're trying to stop. And I think that's so cool and interesting as far as like story elements go. Something that's really on the surface, and like it's very colorful and it's very serene and video gamey too. Like that's another piece of it. It's just like 8-bitty video gamey feelings, vibes. And that is like underneath the surface is just this really interesting, big, deep thing that's like, whoa, crap, that's awesome. Freaking very neat storytelling and stuff like that. There's some books and some really cool content that I've like watched and listened to or read or whatever that kind of has that idea, just that aspect of something normal, something whatever, but underneath is just this like just something so philosophically cool and maybe it's just some great evil or like some great bigger, something so much bigger than the tiny story that's being shown that will rear its head every once in a while throughout the thing, but then you kind of go back to normalcy. I think that's such a cool way to do stories. I think that's such a neat idea, just as a concept. And so I'm playing EarthBound. I'm falling in love with the game itself, and just the story, whatever within that, just that depth is very cool. Undertale does that. Undertale's heavily inspired by EarthBound, and I love that. And also humor-wise in the story, the lightheartedness of both of those just kind of adds to the depth that's really there. I think the game itself just brings out this storytelling device that I really happen to love a lot, that I would love in my stories. Just this like underlying tension or underlying like something so much bigger than what's happening right now. And okay, so that's all. That's storytelling. Moving on. I like to produce music a lot. I like to compose music. I like to say that rather than I like to say produce a lot. Produce music, and I do. That's what I do. That's word for word what I do. But I also compose is the thing. When I produce music, I compose music. That's just something that's thrown to the side, I think, when you think about a producer, when you think about somebody who makes music, is a composer more than a producer. So I produce and compose music, and it's very interesting. I'm in a very I'm in a moderately dry spell, and I think that's because what I mean by that, rather than like writer's block or just dry spell or something like that, is I could make a song. I could come to the table, make a song, or produce with no lyrics is what I'm talking about. Produce a song, make it cool, whatever. But I would feel like it's not necessarily any different than any of the other songs I've made in the last year. What I want to do is find new devices. I maybe would just want to learn a new instrument, throw something new into the mix to just kind of invigorate the way that I see music. But I'm in a bit of a dry spell with production and composition, which is so interesting because that kind of goes just hand in hand with the way I want to sing music and vocalize my thoughts and emotions and ideas and stories is coming out in this beta initial way that I was producing music. So it's like I'm re-trekking through the way that I compose, because I will sing melodies or things that I will think is cool, of course, but I will have thought was cool a year ago, and now I'm a year ahead, and I'm trying to match melodies to the way that I'm producing. It's very interesting, especially with the way that you write like songs or something like that. You don't do a fast-paced, super big song about something sad. I mean, you could, and it'd be really fun. You can break those rules for sure, but you get the idea. Like you want the vibe of the song to match the lyrics, and so the vibe of my music that I'm producing a lot doesn't necessarily match all the lyrics that I'm writing. So I don't want to compromise lyricism. I don't want to compromise composition. So that's very interesting. Just the relationship between my writing words and the relationship between my production, and how do I fit those two together? How do I whatever? I produce very poppy music, like very like pop style, video game style music, and and my lyrics. This is something that I was talking about last week. That I could write a whole album of music that's just called young people music. That's just music kind of based around pop or whatever, and just sweet, fun, happy times, or whatever, pretty self-righteous, pretty whatever. My production is at the point where it's like pop music, but my lyrics want to tell stories. So how do I tell stories within the bounds of just like a really cool headbanger, like, earworm? That's an interesting thing. That's an interesting relationship. Whatever. Moving on. Something I learned recently about myself is the idea of transparency versus vulnerability, and the way that I kind of wear vulnerability as a badge of honor. Something that people are drawn to. Dad is upstairs making beds. Something that people are drawn to is vulnerability, but I was told there's a difference between transparency and vulnerability. People are actually really drawn to the idea of being transparent and open in a way that's suitable and palatable, but vulnerability is more than that. Vulnerability is messy and really deep and emotional and more than just transparency. So I would mix those two up. I would mix up transparency and vulnerability, and that was an interesting dissection that I definitely feel is applicable to the way that I understand my open thought process. Coming to the table with the idea of vulnerability, that's not something that everybody is ready for. It's a thing of human decency to not vulnerability all over the place. That like definitely encourages like a level of commitment to friendship or to relationship that somebody may not be prepared for, and is not the way to understand my life and anybody else's life, is to expect vulnerability out of myself or anybody else. But to reach that point with somebody is special, and I think you will have people in your life that you will be vulnerable with, and then you'll have people in your life that you will be transparent with. So that's cool, and I don't know, that was just something I was thinking about recently, just an idea. And I don't think I have anything else. Thank you again so much for watching, and I'm going to go edit this. So, peace out.